The massive towers of the Zephyrian communications array stretched high into the purple sky of their home planet. These crystal structures hummed with energy as they received signals from thousands of worlds across the galaxy. Inside the main control room, young Officer Hyan-Woo sat at his monitoring station, watching the endless stream of data flow across his screens. It was another quiet day shift when something unusual caught his attention. A new signal appeared on his display, coming from a distant star system that had never been contacted before. The transmission was simple and crude, using basic radio waves that most advanced civilizations had abandoned centuries ago. Strange. Hyan-Woo muttered to himself as he studied the data. The signal came from a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star in what the Zephyrians called the Outer Rim territories. It was far from the center of galactic civilization, in a region they had never bothered to explore. He recorded the transmission and ran it through the translation computers. The results made him frown. The signal contained basic mathematical sequences, simple artistic broadcasts, and what appeared to be primitive entertainment programs. Everything suggested a young civilization that had barely discovered space travel. Director Taemin Hyan-Woo called to his supervisor, who was reviewing reports from other sectors. "I have an interesting signal here. It appears to be a first contact transmission from an unknown species." Taemin walked over to Hyan-Woo's station, his scaled hands moving across the controls to examine the data. As one of the senior communications officers, he had seen hundreds of these signals over the years. Most came from primitive worlds that were easily integrated into the Zephyrian Empire. Binary code transmissions, basic radio frequencies. No signs of faster-than-light communication, Taemin observed. This looks like a standard Class 2 emerging civilization. They've probably just discovered how to send signals into space. The director pulled up star charts of the region where the signal originated. The system was unremarkable, containing several small rocky planets and some gas giants. The third planet from the star showed signs of having an atmosphere and liquid water on its surface. "What should we do with this information?" Hyan-Woo asked, watching as his supervisor made notes in the official report. "Standard procedure," Taemin replied without hesitation. "We forward this to the High Command for evaluation. They will decide if this world is worth adding to the Empire." The report traveled quickly through the chain of command. Within hours, it reached the obsidian chambers of the High Command building, where the most powerful Zephyrians made decisions that affected entire star systems. The black walls were covered with holographic displays showing the current status of their vast empire. Fleet Admiral So Young reviewed the report with the cold efficiency that had helped her climb to the highest ranks of the military. Her arms moved smoothly as she examined the data, her multiple eyes taking in every detail of the primitive transmissions. "Another backward world in the Outer Rim," she said to her aide, Commander Donghyun. "Their technology appears to be several hundred years behind our own. They still use chemical rockets and basic electronics." The Admiral pulled up tactical assessments of similar worlds that had been integrated into the Empire over the past decade. In every case, the process had been simple and quick. A small fleet would arrive, demonstrate their superior technology, and the primitive species would surrender without significant resistance. This would be perfect for a routine integration mission, So Young decided. Can use it as a training exercise for our newer officers. Send orders to Captain Ginho to prepare the 47th Scouting Fleet. Commander Donghyun nodded and began preparing the official orders. The 47th Scouting Fleet consisted of 12 advanced warships, each capable of destroying entire cities with their energy weapons. For a primitive world like this one, it was. Considered overwhelming force, Captain Ginho received his orders at the military spaceport, where his ships were being prepared for departure. He was a veteran officer who had overseen 47 successful integrations during his career. Each time the process had been identical: arrive, demand surrender, and accept the submission of another species into the Empire. "Sir," his communications officer, Lieutenant Hygiene, reported, "We have received full tactical data on the target world. The inhabitants call themselves humans, and they appear to have a divided planetary government with multiple nation-states." Ginho nodded as he reviewed the information. Divided civilizations were often easier to handle, since they rarely united against external threats. The humans seemed to spend most of their time fighting among themselves rather than preparing. For contact with other species, estimated resistance level? Asked his tactical officer, Lieutenant Minho. Minimal to none, sir. Their most advanced weapons are primitive nuclear devices. Our shields can easily deflect anything they might attempt to use against us. As the 12 ships of the scouting fleet prepared for departure, their crews felt confident and relaxed. This was just another routine mission to add another primitive world to their empire. The humans would see their advanced technology, realize they had no chance of resistance, peacefully surrender. The fleet engaged their quantum drives and vanished into the dark space between stars, heading toward the small blue planet that had sent such innocent signals into the galaxy. None of them suspected that this routine mission would be anything other than another easy victory in the endless expansion of the Zephyrian Empire. The 12 ships of the Zephyrian fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system like silver crescents against the black void. Captain Jin Ho stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the tactical displays as they showed him the primitive space infrastructure around the third planet. Very basic technology, observed Lieutenant Hyjin. From her communications station, simple satellites, a few crude space stations, and some primitive mining operations on their moon. Jinho nodded with satisfaction. Everything looked exactly as expected for a class to civilization. The humans had barely begun to explore their own solar system, let alone develop any serious military capabilities. Begin standard integration. Protocol, he commanded. Send the surrender demand on all frequencies. The message went out across space, translated into the basic languages that the humans used. Lieutenant Hyjin spoke clearly into the transmission system. Primitive inhabitants of the third planet. You are now subjects of the Zephyrian Empire. Surrender your governments and prepare for integration into our civilization. Resistance is futile. The response came much faster than usual. Instead of the typical panic or confused screaming that most species displayed, the humans asked questions. They wanted to know about Zephyrian society, their laws, and how they treated conquered peoples. Curious behavior, muttered Commander Dong Hyen from the tactical station. Most species either surrender immediately or attack us without thinking. These humans seem to be trying to negotiate. For several hours the communication continued. The humans sent representatives who asked detailed questions about Zephyrian government, their treatment of subject species, and their plans for Earth. They seemed genuinely interested in understanding the Empire rather than simply accepting defeat. Jinho grew increasingly frustrated with the delay. In his experience, primitive species either submitted quickly or fought briefly before being crushed. These humans were doing neither, and their endless questions were wasting valuable time. Enough of this pointless talking, he declared. Begin demonstration protocol. Destroy their outer communication satellites in that space station with the humans inside. The fleet's weapon systems hummed to life, sending bright energy beams toward the designated targets. The satellites exploded in brilliant flashes of light, and the space station, which housed several hundred human workers, disintegrated in a ball of superheated plasma. Jin Ho expected the humans to immediately surrender after seeing this display of power. Instead, something completely unexpected happened. Objects that had appeared to be harmless space debris suddenly unfolded like deadly flowers. Hidden weapon platforms revealed themselves throughout the solar system, their surfaces bristling. With missile launchers and energy cannons, the seemingly empty void erupted with weapons fire from dozens of concealed positions. Alert! Multiple hostile contacts. Lieutenant Minho shouted from his tactical station. They were cloaked somehow. Our sensors never detected them. The human response was swift and devastating. Missiles streaked through space with impossible accuracy, while energy beams of unexpected power lanced out from hidden fortresses. The Zephyrian shields, designed to deflect primitive nuclear weapons, proved useless against humanity's advanced plasma cannons and kinetic penetrators. 3 Zephyrian ships died in the first 10 seconds of combat. Their hulls cracked open like eggs, spilling atmosphere and crew into the cold vacuum of space. 3 more vessels exploded moments later as human missiles found their way past supposedly impenetrable defenses. How is this possible? Jinho demanded, watching his fleet being torn apart on the tactical displays. They are supposed to be primitive. Where did they get this technology? The human weapons were unlike anything in the Zephyrian databases. Their missiles moved faster than anything the Empire had ever encountered, and their energy weapons cut through military-grade armor as if it were paper. Worst of all, the humans seemed to know exactly where to strike for maximum damage. Commander. Dong Haiyan struggled to coordinate the fleet's response, but the human attacks came from too many directions at once. Sir, we need to retreat. We've lost 6 ships, and the others are taking heavy damage. Jinho's pride warred with his survival instincts. No Zephyrian fleet had ever retreated from a primitive world before. But as he watched another of his ships explode under human fire, he realized that these were not the helpless primitives he had expected. All ships withdraw to minimum safe distance, he ordered reluctantly. Maintain defensive positions. The surviving 6 ships pulled back, their crews stunned by the ferocity and effectiveness of the human defense. The humans did not pursue, instead maintaining their positions around their home planet like protective guardians. Send an emergency transmission to High Command, Jinho commanded, his voice tight with humiliation and disbelief. Request immediate reinforcements. This species has military capabilities far beyond our initial assessment. As the message raced back towards Zephyrian space, Jinho stared at the tactical displays showing the wreckage of half his fleet. The humans had not just defended themselves, they had done so with technology that seemed impossible for their level of development. Sir, Lieutenant Haijin reported quietly, we are receiving another transmission from the humans. What do they want now? Jinho asked warily. They are asking if we need medical assistance for our wounded, and they want to know if we would like to discuss a peaceful resolution to this conflict. Jinho stared at the communication display in complete confusion. These humans had just destroyed half his fleet with ruthless efficiency, and now they were offering to help his wounded crew members. It was unlike anything he had ever encountered. In 47 previous integrations, the routine mission had become something entirely different, and Jinho had no idea what to do next. The emergency alert echoed through the great war chamber of the Zephyrian Imperial Palace. Fleet Admiral Saw Young stood before the massive holographic displays, watching the combat recordings from Captain Jinho's fleet with growing disbelief. Her forearms moved rapidly across the control interfaces as she replayed the battle footage again and again. This cannot be accurate, she muttered to herself, watching human weapons tear through Zephyrian shields like they were made of paper. Our intelligence reports said they were primitive. How do they possess such advanced technology? Supreme Commander Wu Jin entered the chamber, his massive frame casting long shadows across the floor. As the highest military authority in the Empire, he had seen the reports of defeat with his own eyes, but still found them hard to believe. 6 ships destroyed, 6 more badly damaged, he said grimly. In 3,000 years of expansion, we have never suffered such losses in a first engagement. These humans are clearly more dangerous than we realized. Saw Young nodded, her multiple eyes fixed on the tactical analysis. Their weapons technology appears to be several generations ahead of our own. Somehow they have developed military capabilities that our scientists said were impossible. The 2 commanders studied the battle data in silence. The humans had used stealth technology that could completely hide entire weapon platforms. Their missiles moved at speeds that defied known physics, and their energy weapons generated power. Levels that should have required massive space installations. We must respond with overwhelming force, Wu Jin declared. I am authorizing deployment of the 12th Battle Fleet, 200 of our finest ships, including the newest dreadnoughts. Whatever technology these humans possess, they cannot stand against the full might of the Empire. While the Zephyrian Armada prepared for war, Earth was undergoing its own transformation. In the secure command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Kim Jae-hoon addressed the emergency session of world leaders through encrypted video links. The attack on our space station killed 300 people, he reported to the assembled presidents and prime ministers. The alien fleet is still in our solar system, and our intelligence suggests they are calling for reinforcements. Chen of the Asian Federation leaned forward in her chair. General, what are our defensive capabilities against a larger attack? General Kim activated the holographic displays showing Earth's true military preparations. For the past 50 years, we have been preparing for this exact scenario. Our deep space monitoring stations detected the Zephyrian Empire decades ago, and we have been building defenses ever since. The displays showed weapon platforms hidden throughout the solar system, concealed behind asteroids and within seemingly innocent space installations, faster-than-light missile systems, quantum phase destroyers, and gravity well generators, all designed specifically for interstellar warfare. The age of human division is over, the general announced. We face an enemy that sees us as nothing more than another species to be enslaved. We must unite or be destroyed. Defense Minister Park Soo-jin took control of the briefing, explaining the capabilities of Earth's hidden arsenal. Our ships can phase in and out of normal space, appearing behind enemy lines before vanishing again. Our missiles can travel faster than light, and our energy weapons can tear through any known armor. 3 weeks later, the second battle began in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Admiral Lee Na-young commanded the human fleet from her flagship, the Use Indomitable, as sensors detected the massive Zephyrian armada dropping out of hyperspace. 200 ships in perfect formation, she observed, studying the enemy deployment on her tactical screens. They are using classical battle tactics, massed formations with overwhelming firepower. They have no understanding of modern warfare. The Zephyrian fleet advanced in neat rows, their energy weapons charging for a devastating barrage. Supreme Commander Wu Jin had personally joined the battle, commanding from his flagship. The pride of Zephyros, confident that sheer numbers would overcome any human advantages. "Begin the attack," Admiral Lee ordered calmly. "Show them what happens when you threaten Earth." The human fleet struck from multiple directions simultaneously. Ships phased in and out of normal space like ghosts, appearing behind Zephyrian lines before vanishing again. Gravity well generators activated. Trapping entire enemy squadrons in crushing fields of distorted space-time, Zephyrian ships found themselves unable to target enemies that could disappear and reappear at will. Their weapons, designed for conventional space combat, proved useless against human ships that could phase through solid matter when necessary. Impossible. Wu Jin shouted as he watched his carefully planned formation dissolve into chaos. How can they move like that? Our sensors cannot track them. The battle raged for 6 hours, but the outcome was never in doubt. Human ships danced through space like deadly angels, striking with precision and vanishing before retaliation was possible. Zephyrian vessels, built for intimidation rather than maneuverability, fell one by one to the human assault. When the fighting finally ended, only 40 Zephyrian ships remained intact. The rest were either destroyed or too damaged to continue fighting. The human fleet had suffered minimal casualties, their advanced shielding and superior tactics proving decisive. "This is Admiral Lee Na-young of the United Earth Defense Force," she broadcast to the surviving Zephyrian vessels. "You have attacked our people without provocation. Earth offers you one chance to withdraw peacefully from our space. You will not receive another warning." Supreme Commander Wu Jin stared at the tactical displays showing the wreckage of his fleet. In a single engagement, humanity had destroyed 80% of the largest battle fleet the Empire had assembled in centuries. The impossible had happened. Primitives had defeated the Empire's finest warriors. The news of the second crushing defeat spread through the Zephyrian Empire like wildfire. Unconquered worlds across the galaxy, enslaved species who had served the Empire for generations, began to whisper about the impossible victory. The humans had done what no one thought possible. They had defeated the mighty Zephyrian fleet not once, but twice. On the mining world of Kepler 44b, the enslaved Vorthan workers stopped their digging when they heard the news. For 300 years they had been forced to extract precious metals from the planet's core, but now they dared to dream of freedom. Similar scenes played out on dozens of other worlds as the Empire's subjects began to hope. Supreme Commander Wu Jin stood in the Imperial War Room, surrounded by holographic displays showing the current state of the Empire. Red warning lights flashed across hundreds of star systems as reports of unrest and rebellion poured in from across the galaxy. "The situation is becoming critical," reported Intelligence Director Hyen Soo.
Our clients you?
Our client species are beginning to question our authority. Some have already declared independence and are refusing to send tribute. Wu Jin's massive fists clenched as he studied the tactical displays. We must mobilize every available vessel. Send orders to all fleet commanders. Bring every ship back to defend the core systems. We will crush these human upstarts once and for all. But humanity had no intention of waiting for the Empire to bring the war to Earth. In the secret military base on Luna, Admiral Cho Young-soo received his orders from Earth Command. His mission was simple, but dangerous stake, the war directly to the heart of Zephyrian space. We will not wait for them to attack us again, he told his assembled captains. Every day we delay, more innocent beings suffer under their rule. End this empire now before they can reorganize. The first human expeditionary force consisted of 50 advanced warships, each capable of faster-than-light travel and equipped with the latest stealth technology. They moved through space like invisible hunters, striking at military targets deep within Zephyrian territory. Their first target was the industrial world of Wriggle 7, where the Empire manufactured its most advanced weapons. The attack came without warning. Human ships materialized in the planet's orbit, their weapons already firing. The orbital defense platforms designed to stop conventional fleets were destroyed in minutes. Commander Rosu Ben led the assault on the planet's surface, her ground forces liberating the alien slave workers who had been forced to build weapons for their oppressors. People of Rigel 7, she broadcast across the planet's communication networks. You are free. The Zephyrian Empire's reign of terror ends today. The pattern repeated across dozens of worlds. Human task forces, led by officers like Captain O, Minwoo, and Commander Yoon Hai-young, struck at the Empire's infrastructure with surgical precision. They destroyed military bases, liberated prison worlds, and vanished before reinforcements could arrive. On the agricultural world of Vigathria, the local Zephyrian garrison found themselves facing an enemy they could not see or predict. Captain Jinsu, the garrison commander, watched helplessly as human ships appeared and disappeared like ghosts, destroying his forces piece by piece. They are everywhere and nowhere, he reported to his superiors. Our sensors cannot track them. Our weapons cannot hit them. They strike without warning and vanish before we can respond. The human forces were not just fighting a military campaign, they were conducting a liberation war. On every world they visited, they freed enslaved populations and provided them with weapons and training to defend themselves. The Empire's carefully constructed system of control began to collapse as its subjects turned against their masters. Fleet. Admiral Soyoung coordinated the Empire's response from her command ship, but she found herself fighting a war on 100 fronts simultaneously. Every time she moved forces to defend one system, the humans would strike somewhere else. They are not just defending their world, she realized with growing horror. They are systematically destroying everything we have built. Every world we have conquered, every species we have enslaved, they are turning them all against us. The rebellion spread faster than the Empire could contain it. Former slave worlds declared independence, their populations rising against their Zephyrian overlords with weapons provided by the human forces. The Empire's military, designed for conquest and intimidation, found itself unable to cope with widespread revolt. On the fortress world of Tau Ceti, Governor Park Min-younga, human name adopted by a Zephyrian administrator who had begun to question the Empire's methods, watched his own security forces desert rather than fight against the human liberators. The old order was crumbling, and even loyal Zephyrians were beginning to doubt their cause. We created this enemy, he transmitted to the High Command. We showed them exactly what kind of galaxy they were entering, and now they are reshaping it according to their own vision. The human fleet, now numbering in the thousands as Earth's full military might was deployed, struck at the heart of the Empire's power structure. They targeted command centers, supply lines, and communication networks with ruthless efficiency. The Empire's ability to control its vast territory began to collapse under the sustained assault. Supreme Commander Wu Jin, watching the tactical displays in his command center, finally understood the true scope of the disaster. They are not just another species seeking to defend their territory, he admitted to his staff. They are conducting a complete transformation of galactic civilization. They will not stop until every enslaved being is free. The hunters had become the hunted, and the empire that had ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years was facing its final days. The great fleet of human warships emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Zephyrian home system like a silver tide rushing toward shore. Admiral Kim Tae-hoon stood on the bridge of his flagship, the UES Liberation, watching the tactical displays as they revealed the final defenses of the empire that had once ruled the galaxy. Zephyros Prime hung in space before them, surrounded by massive orbital fortresses that had protected the Zephyrian homeworld for over 1,000 years. The planet's surface glowed with the lights of billions of inhabitants, most of whom had never seen war come to their own world. Enemy fleet composition? Admiral Kim asked his tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Park G1. 350 vessels, sir, including their remaining dreadnoughts. They have also activated the Planetary Defense Grid 47 orbital platforms with heavy weapons. She paused, studying the readouts. Sir, they are broadcasting surrender terms. Admiral Kim nodded grimly. After months of fighting across the galaxy, this was the moment that would determine the future of galactic civilization. He opened a communication channel to address not just the Zephyrian fleet, but every inhabited world in the system. People of Zephyros Prime, he broadcast on all frequencies. We are the United Earth Defense Force. We have come not as conquerors, but as liberators. We offer the Zephyrian Empire one final opportunity to surrender. Your military forces will be disbanded, your subject species will be freed, but your people will not be harmed. On the bridge of his flagship, the Pride of Zephyros, Supreme Commander Wu Jin listened to the human ultimatum with bitter understanding. He had spent his entire life building and defending the Empire, and now he faced its complete destruction. At the hands of a species they had dismissed as primitive. Sir, his communications officer reported, High Command is requesting your decision. Do we accept their terms? Wu Jin looked at the tactical displays showing the human fleet. Their ships moved with the same ghostly grace that had destroyed every Zephyrian force sent against them. He knew that resistance was hopeless, but his pride would not allow him to simply surrender the Empire without a fight. All units, he commanded, engage the human fleet. We will not surrender our civilization to these aliens. The battle began at dawn on Zephyros Prime. The orbital fortresses opened fire first, sending massive energy beams toward the human ships. But the humans had learned from every previous engagement, and their ships danced through the defensive fire like leaves in the wind. Captain Lee Sujin led the first wave of human fighters, her squadron weaving between the fortress weapons with impossible precision. Phoenix Squadron, begin your attack run. Target the shield generators. The human assault was swift and methodical. Their quantum weapons cut through the fortress armor like hot knives through butter, while their ships phased in and out of normal space to avoid return fire. Within 2 hours, most of the orbital defenses had been destroyed or disabled. The remaining Zephyrian fleet fought with desperate courage. Yes. But they were no match for the human forces. Commander Yoon Ha-young's destroyer group eliminated 3 enemy dreadnoughts in a single coordinated strike, while Admiral Cho Young-soo's battleships systematically destroyed the Empire's last line of defense. Supreme Commander Wu Jin watched, his fleet being destroyed around him, but he refused to give the order to surrender. It was only when his own ship's shields began to fail that he finally accepted the inevitable. This is Supreme Commander Wu Jin of the Zephyrian Empire, he broadcast to the human fleet. We surrender? Please do not destroy our homeworld. Fighting stopped immediately. Admiral Kim Tae-hoon's voice echoed across the system. All human forces cease fire. Begin rescue operations for enemy survivors. In the months that followed, the galaxy underwent a complete transformation. The Galactic Liberation Council convened on the neutral world of Haven Station, where representatives from hundreds of formerly enslaved species gathered to create a new form of government. Admiral Prek Ji-hoon, speaking for Earth at the Historic Assembly, addressed the delegates with words that would be remembered for generations. We did not seek this war, but we could not stand by while entire civilizations suffered under tyranny. The galaxy is vast, enough for all of us to prosper, but it is too small for oppression to hide. The new galactic government established strict laws against the conquest and enslavement of sentient species. Human patrol fleets, commanded by officers like Admiral Seo Min-young and Captain Kwan Tae-won, took responsibility for enforcing these laws throughout known space. The Zephyrians, stripped of their empire but allowed to survive, slowly began to adapt to their new reality. Many, like former communications director Taemin, dedicated themselves to helping their former victims rebuild their shattered worlds. "We thought we were the masters of the galaxy," he said during a public address on Zephyros Prime. "But we were just bullies who had never met anyone strong enough to stand up to us. The humans showed us what true strength looks like." As the years passed, the galaxy settled into a new pattern of peace and cooperation. Trade flourished between worlds that had once been enemies, and scientific knowledge was shared freely among all species. The human fleet continued its patrols, but now they were protectors rather than conquerors. The lesson of Earth's Warfleet echoed through the stars, that the greatest strength often belongs to those who seek peace, but possess the courage and capability to defend it when necessary. The galaxy had learned that humanity's compassion was not weakness, but the foundation of a strength that no empire could defeat.